Kunta, for that to be your first fight, just to be able to take on, four guys. Let me ask you, when you win a fights like that, when you win against something like, all right, do they respect it immediately like that for that to be your first situation?
Of course. The respect is instantaneous. You not only be respected, but people know then that you're not, effing around,
Yeah. So that's a fight. When was it in which you seen your first stabbing?
Really, my first stabbing was really when I kind of hit Ferguson. Under the old law, of prison rules, snitches get stitches, And I'll never forget it. It was real traumatic because when I came through there, they was escorting a guy who told. And, what they do is they tell everybody to face the wall, and not to look at the person so that you can't, get their identity, So they make all the prisoners, the whole, pretty much the establishment in that area shut down and all the prisons are under guard by law's officers, and they all make everybody face the wall, to give the prisoner time to get to the infirmary. But, a hit is always planned, it's pre-planned. So inside information gave the assailants, the time when he was gonna be escorted. So you had a couple of guys, 3 guys waiting, but they were facing the wall, pretending, as if they were, going to comply with what was told to everybody to face the wall. So by the time the snitch got by them, they turned around with their knives and chased after him. He went to run, and the police, were trying to, stop him. They pepper sprayed one of the dudes, but 2 dudes were, got past the cops and went to running and chasing the guy. Of course, he's handcuffed with his handcuffs in front of him, so he's defenseless basically because he can't stop him. You know what I'm saying? So he running up the hallway, and the guys get him. They stab him, stab him right here. I ain't never really ever seen, I didn't know that blood could, spill out of a person at that fast of a rate. Because when they stabbed him, it was like a water faucet had cut on, And that was probably my first gruesome scene of how real serious prison was, when, I seen that.
Do you feel that guards or COs be involved? Do they be getting tipped off?
Of course, yeah, of course. It's all inside information. That's the only way it could be, circulated to the inmates is that, some officer tells, that, you know what I'm saying? Information from the inside cannot come out unless it's by somebody who's on the inside.
It seems like, like the old adage, snitches get stitches, that you would think if they don't have a clear opportunity to commit whatever, stabbing or whatever, that they'll hold off until they could do it and get away with it. It seems like they'll blatantly do it, even when the law is trying to stop it. They're going to get, what is that about? Because
it's called crashing out. Mm. And most of the time, the people that do that ain't getting out of prison no way, you see. So it don't matter whether the cops get them or not. The whole idea is to get the snitch. Mm. And they, being strategic, you don't go and take somebody who's finna get out in 5 months to do that. You go and you get somebody who has nothing to lose, and they crash out, basically.
Now, most people, when they hear, about prison, the outside world just thinks man, you go to prison, there's an all-men prison, no women there. Men are gonna get violated.
Of course.
They're gonna get assaulted. You're gonna hear screams and moans whether they want it or not. Is that something that, how quickly did you see that was the lifestyle in there?
Honestly, it's kind of, it depends on the time, the time frame, like in the early, when I went, it was kind of like going into the closet. Now, before the era of the turnkeys and building attendants, it was in the open, They didn't hide it. Nobody cared, it would happen. Now, the unit I was on, Ferguson, one of the units, I spent the most time on Ferguson out of all the prison stays. And I spent the most time on Ferguson. And this unit was very dreaded with that. There was a whole lot of men being harmed, and violated. And when I got there, the Crips, I was in the Crip Corps, of course, and we were instructed not to go to the shower.
They don't even go to.
Don't even go, because you can take a shower in your cell. You always have that option if you're smart. So I showered in my cell for the first couple of months that I was there, until I got to feel my way around in that place. And I still didn't go to the shower because, it's unreal in there. And
did you ever see a situation where
I had a fight in the shower? I had a fight in the shower.
First of all, the mentality is like, all right, we in the shower, everybody kind of off to the left. To have a fight in the shower is just wow. What was the fight about? Like, what kicked it off?
On Ferguson, you had people who were really mentally deranged, And when I say mentally deranged, because they would look at another man's, ass or his rear end, and they would masturbate on it. And if you can fight, the dudes that do that, they know to move around. They know to get out your way. They're not gonna do it around you. So the first time I decided to go in the shower was like probably one of the worst times ever, because I went in there, after work to take a shower because I was hot. We just come out the fields. I went on and took a shower. Normally the Crips, we get our clothes and we just go on, go to our cells and, undress and then shower, take a bird bath or whatever, and then, get back dressed. This day I chose to go in the damn shower, my G. And there was this guy next to me, man. I never forget the creep, because it was it was a punk, about a couple of stalls over, and this punk, he doing too much, he got his little tail hanging out. It's just, the scene was too bizarre for me, so I got uncomfortable immediately. Like, what in the hell? Why the hell I go to the shower? And I knew not to go, but I'm thinking maybe, it wasn't gonna be no dumb shit today. Yeah. But it's always some dumb shit in that penitentiary shower. So this guy, he, now, as I'm, washing myself off, and you know how you go to rinsing yourself off, so you got to get under the water, but you smart, so you shower with your back to the wall. You never, turn around, people, would, consider that to be a homosexual move if you shower with your back to everyone.
Just to not, damn.
You can't, it's not illogical to do that in prison anyway.
Right.
Real talk,
Right.
So you shower with your back up the wall, but you still got to go under the water to wash the soap off your face and all that stuff, right? So when I got under the water, I kind of still kept my eyes open, because, you're never supposed to close your eyes, even though you got water and soap going in your eyes. You close your eyes, be the last time you ever open them or close them or whatever, because you never know who's around you, kill you, strangle you, rape you, type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? So you always keep your eyes open. I got my eyes open, and I guess he think I got my eyes closed, the guy that's next to me. So he goes to masturbating on this dude over here. But he kind of got his back to me, but he's still doing it by me. So that was it, I couldn't take it. So I howl off and go to beating him up, boom, 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 boom. I bust him up. I beat him up real bad too, And, of course the cops came, the guards, they came and, put me in handcuffs, got him, took him to the infirmary. And, I'll never forget, going to jail, inside of the shower, butt naked, handcuffed, being butt naked and going to the jail inside of jail.
Damn.
It's crazy. And my partner and them, they made fun of me. They like, we know you ain't gay,
Yeah.
And I'm like, what you mean? He said, boy, because your ass was walking and your ass cheeks was tight. Nigga couldn't tell what you was if you was from Mars, because I really was so embarrassed, and the only thing I could do was hide my ass, because my hands was behind me, behind my back. So I'm hiding my ass. I swear to God, because this was the type of unit this was, where you didn't just go out naked nowhere, and Negroes wouldn't talk bad and say some funny things, So, man, that was one of the most embarrassing, but I got notoriety for it, though,
Yeah.
I got respect for it because after that, I could go in the shower and people knew to get their ass out of my way because if they started that old psycho, madness, I would whoop them.
And mind you, you didn't even talk to him. You just hauled off on him, or
I didn't talk to him or nothing. I didn't give him a word. I just while he was beating his meat, I was beating him.
Damn.
I busted his head to the white meat. Yeah, he thought he was finna get off, but I went on and got off on him. Yeah.
Have you seen a situation, because they always look at people like fresh meat when they come in, especially like in something like a Ferguson. A lot of young kids got sent up to Ferguson,
right,
for whatever crimes they did. Did you see a situation where like, man, that dude's an easy target and then he became an easy target?
Yeah, I did.
What happened? Like, what do you see when someone comes in? Are they talking too loud? Are they acting too tough? Or like, what is it? Are they look weak or what?
Well, it's mainly the timidness that you see in people's eyes, It's the eyes.
Yeah.
Eyes never lie. The body language can say a lot of things, but the eyes will never lie.
Come on.
What I've done, in my years is I've learned to watch people's eyes. Mm. And another thing is a lot of that stuff stopped with me, Even now, I could not save everybody, brother. I could not, But if you came from my hometown, we was not gonna let nobody take advantage of you. We didn't allow that. We didn't allow people from Fort Worth to be targeted by the bandits.
Yeah. What were the rules? Like you said, it's the eyes. Was it like you shouldn't look a man in his eyes? You shouldn't smile at her. You shouldn't receive offerings if somebody say, "Hey, I got that."
Oh, it's so many rules, brother. But it's a lot of it's folklore.
Yeah.
A lot of it's folklore. But it is a lot of rules. When you go in there, you're not supposed to take nothing from nobody. Because right when I was, in the early 90s, they would say that if you be careful of the older brothers because they'll give you some food, but then they say they'll want that food back.
Yeah.
And they don't want it back that way. They want it back the other way.
Yeah. Are there OGs that come in and let the young dudes, let them know, like, hey, this what's up?
I was one of them guys.
Okay.
I was one of them guys that always gave, laced the young brothers up when I run into them. They from my city. I got several brothers that I ran into in prison, and I did put them under my wing, because that's just, a brotherhood thing that I've always had about myself. Was when I caught little young ones doing, just fresh coming to prison, we would always teach them how to fight.
Yeah.
That's like the first rule is we would show them how to fight, because going down there in prison, first thing order of business is, learn how to fight, because you're gonna fight. You're gonna have a lot of fights depending on, how you carry yourself. So it wasn't a bunch of that going on, where they were just taking advantage of brothers, because you had too many people from that city that would not allow that,
Yeah.
And a lot of times when people tried that, those dudes got smoked off the unit. They did too much trying to do that like that. They would get them off the unit because it was guys that did that there.
Yeah. What you saw in county with the Aryan brothers, did that flow over to prison system as far as the whites?
I was in the ride. Yes, it did. I was in the ride. My partner Dodo, me, K-Love, Texas Slim, Lucky, Fort Worth Junebug, quite a few guys, man. We were all on an educational block. And before they changed the rules, it could be somebody, a very small person could be housed with a very big person.
Yeah.
And which is dangerous. Because, of course, if the big person snaps, the little person is at the mercy of being destroyed, And this happened to one of my partners. He got put into a cell with an Aryan brotherhood who looked like a little Credible Hulk doll, And he beat the young brother inside the head with a sock and a canned good.
Oh.
He was already huge, and then on top of that, he used a weapon. Beat the brother so bad he had to be care flighted. That's when your injuries are so bad that a helicopter had to come and rush you to the hospital, in a rush. So they done that. The Aryan Brotherhood dude done that. And that got all the white boys beat up on the entire unit.
What is the protocol in a riot? Like the one you was in, like something like that. What is the protocol for you individual, for you, everybody in your car, for everybody? Like, what is the protocol?
Well, we just decide who gonna set it off. We all, we'll go to the rec yard and have a meeting, talk to everybody talk, we decide who's gonna be the person to take the licks, and we already done sized off who's the biggest, who's, more of the threat, who need to be focused on and who really ain't a problem and can go down easy.
Can someone opt out like, hey, I don't feel like doing this today?
No, you can't opt out.
Damn.
You opt out, you pretty much, you done called what they call jackmack. That's a hazing term for being weak, being too weak or unfit. And that'll get you in a bigger deal of trouble than not fighting. Now, of course, it's the risk of being stabbed. It's the risk of being, overpowered and beat up in a riot as well. But if you say no, and it's the Crips, that's considered a disciplinary action. They'll line you up for that.
When it comes to the contraband, like you said, the weapons, what type of weapons did you see? Like you like, damn, how did that get in here?
Weapons, well, most racist thing I've seen was the weapons that the white guys had. Because you would know that those weapons were brought in from the free world. So the white boys had free world knives. Black people would have to smuggle shit, like metal and rods and shit from jobs and places and file them down and make stabbing weapons out of them.
They'll bring in the knife from the regular knife.
No, they bring in hunting knives, big knives. Like this knife shouldn't have never. This is a free world knife. Yeah. It's craftsmanship to the knife. It's not something that you could have like a homemade look to it. It has a craftsmanship look to it. Wow. I've seen knives that had real knives that was smuggled in by some officer. Prison officer.
Did you ever have to do solitary?
Yes, I did. I did solitary several times. I wasn't, I had to get my stuff together. It was brothers like Eli, that kind of, helped me get the wildness out of me because, I was down there and I was innocent. So I was aggravated. Being innocent and going to a hellhole, it aggravates you, and you want to fight everybody or you want to cause a problem or you want to buck the system and you're always looking to slay the dragon. Yeah.
What was, for those, again, this is education, for those who've never seen what solitary is, for every prison is different, for every unit is different. What was the solitary in your situation as far as wherever you had to serve it at?
Well, solitary is basically a one-man cell confinement. And they lock you down for basically 23 hours. And you come out for recreation and you come out to shower. And that's it.
Do you get books? Do you?
You get books. You can have, reading material, writing material. You can have what's on the regular menu as far as stove. You just can't have no stuff that's like considered, dangerous. Yeah. Certain things became dangerous in prison, so they discontinued them. So they would take stuff like your hot pot, the pot that make hot water so that you could cook. Well, they wouldn't let people in solitary have them because you could throw that on a guard.
How important is it to mind your business when it comes to things happening?
It's very important because it's very dangerous. The most important aspect of minding your business is saving your own life. As serious as it is, you could put your nose in some things that could get you killed easily. get you harmed, get you smoked off the unit. People don't like nosy people. Prison is mind your own business. Basically, that's one of the rules. You gotta mind your business. You get in somebody's business and you don't got nobody to back you, you could be hurt real bad because the people that you got in their business, they mess around sending a 4-man crew like I was telling you I had to fight. And sometimes these guys are armed. You know, when it's a friendly fade, you know, like a disciplinary fade, they come with their hands. Yeah. But if it's a, you know, an insult, you know, like you've insulted their family or they feel like you insulted them, they're not coming with that. They coming with something that teach you a lesson like a knife.
Did you ever think of escaping?
Of course I did. I was innocent, so
yeah. That's for you being innocent, it's hardly even more like
right. I wanted to escape so bad. Yes, I did want to escape, but it was kind of like it was never an opportunity to escape. And the only time I had an opportunity to escape is sometimes when we worked out in the fields, but you were never out of sight of being shot. So it really pretty much for you to run would only be guaranteed that you would be shot before you even got maybe 10 yards away.
Yeah, what was a typical work day?
A typical work day in prison was basically several things. You could be working in the kitchen where they have to feed, you know, all the house inmates. You could be working as a janitor, cleaning up the trash from the dorms or the cells. You don't clean up the cells, but you clean up the walkways. You could be outside maintenance, inside maintenance. That's people that go around with tools and they fix all the broken stuff in prison. You could work in the fields. And that's probably the hardest job in prison is the fields.
You say work in the fields. For those that don't know, what does that mean as far as?
The fields is agriculture, the plant, tilling the land, being a farmer, but pretty much being a slave. So it's slave labor, big time. And it's designed to break you.
Do they ever say it's too hot today, we're not going to go to the fields today?
Well, they didn't start that until people start having medical conditions from the being overheated after working so many hours in the sun. So after people started getting real life medical conditions, having heat exhaust and heat strokes, they came, and decided to not work at certain temperatures. Like if it's like over 100 degrees, they won't work. But if it's under 100 degrees or anything close to like 90, you're getting in there.
Did you ever, some people find love in prison as far as, falling for a CEO, a female come through, she doing bad at home.
Yeah.
Did you ever have a situation?
Yeah, I had a situation. I was dealing with a school teacher. I was getting my GED and ran into this good school teacher sister that loved me, but she kind of was cool with the whole class. So she would come and she would look out for everybody. She would help us smuggle contraband in there. We was smuggling tobacco in that boy, big time. Everybody would get tobacco, wave brushes, wave caps.
Was she white, Mexican, black?
She was black.
Heavy set, skinny, old, young?
She was mid-age. She's probably, I was a youngster then, so she's probably in her late 30s or mid-30s. My old sister with some stacks, sister was put together well. She wasn't, one of those, just looking for love ones. She was bad.
Come on.
Yeah, she was. And she knew all the class liked her. We all men deprived of sex. So when she come, we go in her class, we all drooling from the mouth, like, damn, baby girl, you bad. Everybody got something slick to say. I, was the one that I guess passed off the most charm. So she started like, hey man, as the class leave, everybody leave, she say, you stay, she told me to stay one day. Stay back, and then she kind of like, hey, now all of my classmates, I like you the most.
So she wanted you to, work for extra credit.
Right. Yeah.
How long did that last?
Well, it lasted until I got my GED.
Oh, yeah, it's a class over.
Yeah, class over with. But I still got to come back and see her because I would like go in and take other activities. And, you know, school would be going on all day in there. So I go in there and take an activity and go in. But I'm supposed to be in there, but I'm coming out to use the restroom. But I come out and I go by her class. She see me. She'll come outside and talk to me, you know. And if, you know, I needed something, I let her know. She'll bring it to me right then, you know, or have something for me and tell me that I just need to come up there. That's before they really kind of got, you know, real strict on what the officers and, you know, sweating them about, searching them and everything. Because, you know, in the early 90s, it was good. It was, you know, the come-in game, the smuggle game was 1,000. And then, you know, the longer, you know, the more time passed, the more strict and the more the rules changed. So the more hard it was. But, you know, of course, it's always a place and a time to win if you really got some MAC skills, you know. You gonna MAC, you know. Behind bars, that's really the best place, you know, to use your skills is behind them bars. And if you know how to talk, boy, yeah, you know, I mean, that wasn't the only one, you know, but that was the one that was kind of, that I kind of got up on, you know. I mean, I didn't, you know, do too much, but I won from that relationship. You know, now it's the other ones, you know, that I had won, but they were more on the, you know, trying to give me some they tail. You know? Yeah. This one, she was really more mature and she wanted to see me win because I made a killing off the cigarettes. Come on. I made a killing off of them. I had so much food, locker there, food, and all my people, you know, we was all in the same class, so we all was like connected. So everybody had something. It was like an extravaganza, you know.
Was anybody ever hating? Because I hear that some people, their wars would start over like a female's. Like wars would start over like a female.
That's how she ended up, you know, the thing kind of like, you know, ended on with her was that somebody ratted her out. You know, she was so good. And once some hater, he ratted out and they caught her coming in with some stuff. And they searched it and found it. So they fired her and, you know, and all of that. And I think it was one of the Mexicans, you know, to be honest with you. I ain't just being real because I remember one of the Mexicans had got mad because she had brought everybody something and she didn't bring him nothing. So he was like, well, you know, if I don't get nothing, I'm gonna tell. That's what he said. So she started bringing him stuff after that, you know. But all of us wanted to whoop him, but we couldn't whoop him because if we whooped him, we knew he was gonna tell. Right then he was gonna tell for sure. We whooped him off. And cause she said, and you know, so we went to soft stroking him like, yeah, buddy, we gonna take care of you, man. Don't worry about it, man. You know, we got it, so you got it. You know, so, you know, us, of course, we kind of, you know, broke bread with him so he wouldn't be the rat. And then she went to shooting it to him, you know, shooting stuff to him too. And I think it was him because he was the first one to say that if he didn't get nothing, he was gonna tell.
Okay. Was there ever a CEO that you had just a bad outing with, like one that you didn't like him, he didn't like you, and he just gave you a hard time?
It was a woman like that.
A woman like that.
Yeah. And she really was a freak. She was a nympho. Yeah. She was out of there, bro.
But she wanted it and you didn't? I mean, what happened?
I didn't want it. I've never dated a white lady ever. You know, I've never really I'm Kunta. Now, what would that look like? Kunta with the white?
That don't play well.
That don't play well. You know it don't. So I never really ran down that road, real life. I never really. My brother, yeah, he did, but my mama, she just wasn't having it. You know, so I was raised with that mentality, like run from them. So this lady really liked me a lot, and she would harass me because of the fact that I would reject her. She'd come on the thing, I would close my door, you know, and make sure that I'm in my cell with my head covers over my head. She come in the cell, pull the covers up off my head, bend over, show me her butt, acting like she's looking up under stuff, talking about she's searching. I said, well, can't you give me a chance to get out before you do all of this searching? No, you can stay right there. And then she would do all this little freaky nympho stuff, you know, in my face, trying to entice me like, oh, you know, you want this type stuff. And I'm looking at her like, man, I'm leaving. She's talking about, well, if you get up out of that bed and I'm in here searching, I'm going to tell, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to write you a major case. So I just have to sit in the cell, sit in the bed while she bent all over, show her little, you know, a little tush, you know, and all this old stuff. So it just reeked. It irked me. I was like, oh, man, I just did not like when she come. I would literally go outside, you know, and then this is how dirty she was. If I went outside, she would, when it's time for, you know, they shift break each other. So when it's time for the person that's on to go to the rec yard, one of the officers from the inside would come. She would come and break the officer outside so she could come outside and taunt me there. Yeah, she was like that.
Yeah.
She was out of control, bro. Yeah.
I have to ask Kunta, you know, and again, this is always like for an education, man. You know, they always say, you know, you got to watch out for people who have life sentences because those are the ones that will kill you. They'll take, you know, they'll violate you. They'll do all this stuff. For someone that's fresh and new into the penitentiary system, what do they need to watch out for? There's some signs they need to watch out for.
Okay. The main sign is touching, contact. Don't never let nobody walk up on you and touch you, put their hand on you, like they hugging,
talking to you,
on you. You know, they're friendly. Most of the time, the contact is they funny. You know, a man don't need to touch you to talk to you. You know, like I'm talking to you right now, and then I walk up on you and put my hand on your shoulder. You hear me now? No, that ain't it. You know, you don't do that. You walk up to a man, you speak to him, he speak to you, and that's as far as the exchange supposed to go. The exchange of words.
Sometimes that's just, is that them just seeing what you do?
No, it's them basically seeing if you soft. Because if they walk up on you and you let them touch you or, you know, get too close to you without saying, hey, man, you need to bag up. You need to give me my personal space or don't touch me or, hey, wait a minute, time out, you know. That's a sign of that you really afraid and you easy target then. So the main thing is always keep eye contact with people, you know, to let people know that you're very serious about, you know, standing your ground as far as being a man on your own 10 toes. And then as far as just, you know, the whole survey of the scene, looking at people, always watch who you're around, you know. Always look at everybody, you know, because, you know, you never know who's sitting around either looking at you crazy or plotting, you know, on hurting you.
When you say look at everybody,
now look at everybody.
As you're looking around, and if they lock eyes with you, you supposed to, do you stare back or do you?
Yeah, you absolutely stare back. You know, because the stare down thing is serious. You know, and when you look off from a man, that's another sign of cowardice. A stiff man, you look at me in my eyes, I'm gonna keep looking at you, and you gonna have to look away.
Oh, so it's almost it's a stare down to where like it could go on for multiple like seconds. Like
it can go on as long as however I feel, and then that's the energy. Then when you see a man staring at you and will not stare away, that means what you talking about and what you want to do. But when a man looks away, like you know, that means I'm afraid. So never look away from somebody. Always maintain eye contact, you know, and show somebody like, you know, the sincerity of the lack of fear, you know, because in prison, the everybody can smell fear. Fear is so easy to smell and detect, and so is tension.
Mm-hmm. They used to always say, when you walk in, if you knew, find the biggest dude, just knock him out, or just go up and fight the biggest dude, right?
No,
say nothing.
That's folklore.
Yeah.
The biggest dude could be a homosexual, bro. You know, so don't fight the biggest dude, because the biggest dude could be the biggest homosexual with a virus. Gotta pick and choose your fights in there, bro. What I learned now, you know, what I learned from, you know, the people that gave me the game about prison, they was like, always be careful of and pick and choose your fights. Don't be so quick to fight somebody unless it's necessary, you know. And you don't have to run in there and hit the biggest dude upside the head, because that's not gonna do nothing but make people afraid of you and make them know that they're gonna have to eventually do something to you just like you did something to that big old dude, you know? So some people rule by intimidation, some people rule by fear, some people rule by respect, you know? And that's the moves too. Some people move by intimidation, some people move by fear, some people move by respect. Yeah. And the best way to move is by respect, and the best way to lead is with respect. Yeah. The rest of that stuff is all crash out. Mm. It's all crash out.
You know, when we do these prison stories, and again, I appreciate you even coming here to sit down and speak with us. When we have these conversations, we always try to leave each individual sit down with something to advise these young kids, these YNs out here, these crash out dummies, these people who are taking penitentiary chances. Any words that, you know, because we always want to deter, this is just an education. We want to deter people that even have to ever go sit down and give his time away. Any words of wisdom you could give to the young kids out here that's even out here taking penitentiary chances right now?
Well, first of all, the penitentiary chance is not worth what you sacrifice. A lot of times our little brothers don't understand the gamble, you know, that they're taking when they, you know, pick up a gun or decide to commit a crime. The same type of energy that you're using to pick that gun up or to commit that crime, you should be using that same type of energy to impair yourself in some form of education or vocational behavior and activity. Our little brothers need to spend more time trying to educate themselves rather than eliminate themselves. See, the streets, it teaches us a way of survival, but that way of survival entails elimination, self-elimination. We have to stop thinking that the streets is the only way out of this problem. It is not. Sometimes, and most of the times, the people who make it out of the streets, they don't be in their right mind. You know, they get all that money and then just to melt down and become some weirdo or creep, you know. So be careful about thinking that the rags and the roads to the riches is the streets. It's not. The rag and the roads to the riches is it's for people who understand how to fly correctly. You fly crooked, you crash, basically. And the streets is a crooked way of flying. And we got to start teaching our little brothers that the streets is not it. That's not it. Streets is a place where it was for people who were very, very poor and had no chances. The world has changed. There's so many opportunities for the little brothers if they would just put some effort and basically use their own vigor to go in another direction. And it's not enough guard railing going on by the elders, by the brothers who've been down that road. You know, we spend more time glorifying this prison experience rather than rectifying and showing brothers another route. The other route is doing the right thing, choosing not to break the law, choosing not to pick up a gun, because my thing is guns down and gloves up. I teach this everywhere I go to all the brothers that I know. I tell them, hey man, it's easy to fight somebody, you know, and y'all walk away versus killing somebody and he's dead and then you got to go to prison. We lose there. But when people fight, they either respect each other or they respect each other enough to where they leave each other alone. That's how that works with a fight. And some of my best friends, I fought them, you know, because you never know someone until you fight them. I've learned that, you know. So I tell brothers all the time, it's better to put up your dukes rather than to pull out that switch. We got to stop the hat talk, you know, the hat talk out here in the streets that's detrimental to our growth and development. We cannot continue to let this lingo, you know, run unchecked. This is where, it's like brothers, like the brothers who are journalists, the brothers who promote media and information, it's tied into that. It's tied into our music, the frequency of the music, and the media, because the media, the brothers is showing all of this violence. I'm seeing all these bloggers, I'm seeing all these brothers, and most of what they talk about, is the mess. They're not talking about the success stories in the community where brothers like that were gangbangers and turned into electricians, turned into truck drivers, turned into barbers, turned into real estate owners, home builders. Nobody's talking about those stories. They only talking about the stories where somebody done spun around or somebody done got had it. That's real. We got to change the narrative. And the only way we're going to stop the violence in the community is stop promoting it socially and digitally. We promote it. We're doing more of the damage to ourselves than the people who we think we're against by promoting all this bad information. Now, they could say, well, we got to tell people the truth. I don't knock that, but there should be some form of censorship for children. I don't think, I think a phone is a dangerous weapon for a child, for a kid, for a teenager. It's a dangerous weapon. And I don't think a child should have a phone until they're of a mature age because of all the immorality and all the filth that's associated with that demonic device. I have a phone, but I only use the phone in a sense of how I want to use it because I'm in charge. I'm a master of my own destiny. But everybody is not enlightened and everybody don't understand the dangers of the phone. And if we continue to let our children have these phones unchecked,
volatile,
it's already there, because information is a germ. And the wrong information, if the wrong information is infected, what happens?
Come on.
Okay, so we have to send out information that's going to heal these broken minds, because the information is the reason why the minds are broken in the first place.
That's some real stuff. No, hey, I hope they're picking this up. I hope they're picking this up, what you're putting down, man. So I got to say it, first and foremost, I appreciate you coming on and giving these stories, and thank you for the words of wisdom, man. Again, OG Kunta, man, we're only scratching the surface right now.
No doubt.
We're only scratching the surface. And that's why I want to do this as an introduction. And I know there's so many more stories to tell, for the time that you did, but we're going to circle back to it. This is going to be more of an introduction, but I do appreciate you once again for coming on Prison Stories.
No doubt, my G.
Appreciate it, man.
No doubt.
OG Kunta, man.
Appreciate you, bro.
I salute you, man, for real.
100, man.
Let's go.